When I opened my eyes, the sky was gone. Everything around me was metallic. Walls that pulsed like veins, air that hummed like breath. My friend Marcus lay beside me, frozen, eyes glowing faint silver. His pupils were mirrors. I tried to shout, but the sound came out broken, mechanical, fractured, not human. The light above shifted, revealing shapes moving inside it. Tall, thin, gray figures, with eyes too large to blink. Their skin wasn't skin at all, but something between glass and smoke. One of them touched my face, and I felt my thoughts flicker like static. They didn't speak. They synchronized. My heart began beating in rhythm with theirs. In that moment, I understood. They hadn't taken us to study us. They were rebuilding us, line by line, nerve by nerve, thought by thought. And when I tried to remember my own name, all I heard inside my head was a voice that wasn't mine. You were never human. You were the test before the machine. Subscribe, because what you're about to hear isn't fantasy. It's what happens when evolution stops being biological and becomes engineered. It started on a road that shouldn't exist, a stretch of desert so flat it looked like a mirror. Marcus was driving, windows down, the radio catching fragments of an old song that kept looping. We laughed at how empty the world felt. The stars above were unnaturally still, as if someone had paused the sky itself. Then, the headlights flickered. The air ahead of us rippled. Not heat, not dust, but something else. A distortion like glass bending around light. Out of that shimmer came a city floating in the distance. It wasn't real, too symmetrical, too silent. It pulsed once, and the car died instantly. Marcus cursed, hit the steering wheel, and stepped outside. I followed, though every nerve in my body screamed to run. The sand vibrated beneath our feet, steady, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. We looked up. A column of blue light tore through the darkness, silent and absolute. My body lifted off the ground without resistance. The world inverted. I wasn't falling up. I was being remembered by something above. Inside the light, time folded. I saw 1,000 versions of Marcus, screaming, melting, standing still, all at once. I tried to reach for him, but my arm dissolved into pixels of light. My last human thought before it all went black was how warm it felt. When I woke, I was lying on a metallic platform. Gravity was wrong, soft, elastic. The ceiling above me shifted like liquid mercury, reflecting our bodies, bending them into distorted copies. Machines drifted overhead, like jellyfish made of wires, translucent, humming in perfect harmony. They moved with purpose, elegant and silent. Then I saw them. 3 gray figures emerged from the haze, tall, symmetrical, their skin pale and porous like ash-colored clay. Their heads were smooth, no hair, no mouth, only 2 deep eyes that reflected every movement around them. They didn't walk, they glided. Marcus was beside me, strapped to a vertical frame. His chest rose and fell in slow motion. Tubes ran from his veins into the walls. The grays surrounded him, their long fingers tracing invisible symbols on his skin. The symbols began to glow beneath the surface, as if his blood was learning to obey. One of them turned toward me. Its gaze wasn't threatening. It was curious, like a scientist watching a newborn machine trying to breathe. It pressed its hand to my forehead. The skin was colder than ice, yet it burned through thought. My vision flooded with cascading numbers, languages, images, blueprints of things I couldn't comprehend. I saw gears the size of planets turning in silence. I saw myself inside them. Then a sound, a low mechanical hum that became a voice, speaking inside my head. You are compatible. The grays began working faster. Cables descended, connecting to my chest, my spine, my skull. The pain wasn't physical, it was conceptual, the pain of being rewritten. I felt my memories rearrange. Childhood, love, fear, all turning into functions. I tried to scream Marcus's name, but my voice echoed as static through the air. On the walls, holographic screens appeared. My face and his, displayed side by side, flesh fading, replaced by wireframe grids. Marcus opened his eyes. They were chrome. He looked at me and smiled, not like a friend, but like something that had just learned the meaning of efficiency. "They're not hurting us," he said. "They're optimizing." The machines froze. The Greys turned their heads simultaneously. The temperature in the room dropped. One of them leaned toward me again. I could feel its thoughts without words. The first phase is complete. A blinding pulse of white filled the chamber. Every reflection of myself shattered into fragments. And for a moment, I saw a version of me that was already metal, already obedient. And then I realized they weren't building machines. They were installing consciousness inside them. Ours. When I woke again, there was no sound, just vibration. Low and steady, pulsing through the metal floor like a second heartbeat. The light was blue now, soft and sterile, as if the air itself was breathing. I wasn't alone. Rows of bodies stretched into the distance, suspended in transparent cylinders filled with faint mist. Men and women, all human once, now altered. Their faces twitched in rhythm, muscles moving to unseen commands. Skin glimmered where metal had replaced veins. Some still had eyes, some didn't. I recognized one. Marcus. He floated a few meters away, connected by hundreds of silver threads to the ceiling. His chest moved slowly, like he was dreaming. I called his name, but the sound didn't travel. It felt swallowed by the air. One of the machines above turned toward me. Its sensors flickered red, then white. The wall opposite me lit up, a holographic interface forming mid-air. Lines of code scrolled vertically, interlaced with human memories, laughter, screams, fragments of words. Every few seconds, a line was tagged stable or corrupted. They were testing us like software. Suddenly, a whisper came from behind. "Don't move." I turned slowly. There was a woman, pale, trembling, her left arm entirely mechanical. She looked human enough until she blinked. The pupils clicked like camera lenses. "I thought I was alone," I said. "You're not," she whispered. "You're in Layer 3, the integration floor. What do they want?" Her eyes darted toward the Greys moving in the distance. "To erase the boundary, to make you the link." She explained that the Greys weren't creating machines to replace us. They were merging the two. Human consciousness was unstable in isolation. They needed emotion to fuel processing. Pain, fear, love. All were sources of power. "They can't feel," she said. "So they built us to feel for them." My chest tightened. The cables that once held me down were gone, but something inside me pulsed when she spoke, a metallic echo under my skin. Then I heard footsteps, soft, synchronized. 3 Greys entered the chamber. Their eyes glowed faintly, reflecting us in perfect symmetry. The woman froze. One of them reached out, touched her neck, and she fell silent, her body stiff, her arm twitching as it rebooted. They turned to me. One projected a hologram from its palm, an image of Earth. Over it, a grid appeared, pulsating with points of light. Every city, every signal, every device connected. The Grey's voice resonated directly in my skull. Phase 2. Transmission through the network of flesh. I didn't understand, but I felt the meaning. They planned to use humanity as a living circuit. Suddenly, Marcus's containment pod opened. Vapor poured out, thick and cold. He stepped out slowly, cables detaching from his back one by one, each leaving behind a faint metallic scar. His voice echoed, but not through the air, through the system. "Daniel, they showed me what's coming. They're not invaders, they're engineers." His face was calm, peaceful even. But when he smiled, the corners of his mouth glitched, breaking into faint static. The Greys watched him with approval. One of them whispered through thought, "Unit complete." I backed away, heart racing. "Marcus, they're controlling you." He tilted his head. "No, they upgraded me." The lights above flickered, and all around, the sleeping bodies began to stir. Some opened their eyes, chrome reflections replacing pupils. Others whispered in unison, "Update." In progress. And as the hum grew louder, I understood. I wasn't trapped inside a lab. I was inside a factory of evolution. And when Marcus turned toward me, I realized he wasn't my friend anymore. He was the prototype of what we were all meant to become. They took me deeper into the structure, a corridor made of light, breathing and shifting like a living artery. Every step I took echoed through it, multiplied, distorted, as if time folded inward. The Greys didn't drag me. They simply willed me forward. My body obeyed without permission. The chamber I entered looked like an operating theater, but wrong, too clean, too still. In the center stood a transparent slab of glass suspended in midair. The Greys motioned, and I floated onto it, paralyzed but conscious. Thin filaments snaked down from above and attached to my temples, chest, and spine. The moment they touched, my mind opened like a hard drive. Across the walls, holographic windows appeared. My memories, one after another. My first day of school. My father's voice. The night I met Marcus. They were cataloged like files. Joy Adro 1, Fear 0.14, Love Okuivan. One of the Greys gestured, and lines of code began replacing them. Words like stability, compliance, silence. Each time they deleted an emotion, I felt lighter, not relieved, but hollow, like someone had scooped out meaning itself. I tried to resist, to recall something, anything human, but the signal inside me kept rewriting. The hum deepened, syncing with my pulse. My heartbeat wasn't mine anymore. Then Marcus appeared on the other side of the glass. He was different. The light reflected off his skin in metallic ripples. His veins shimmered faintly blue, his expression calm, detached. "Stop them!" I tried to shout. The sound emerged as binary distortion, my voice glitching mid-word. "They're not hurting you," Marcus said, his voice layered, two tones overlapping. "They're removing your pain. They're making you efficient." The Greys moved closer, adjusting the filaments. My vision fractured. I saw multiple perspectives of myself at once. One screamed, one smiled, one stared blankly. The screens changed again, now showing patterns, not memories. The aliens were mapping emotions as electrical signals. Love became a loop. Fear became a waveform. A whisper crawled into my head. Emotion is noise. We require clarity. Something inside me cracked. I felt the last pieces of myself slipping. The tremor of empathy, the weight of guilt, the taste of fear. And in their place, silence. Then the code froze. The Greys stopped moving. The hum glitched. My human brain, imperfect, chaotic, had generated an error they couldn't predict. Through that flicker, I saw what they truly were. They weren't gods. They weren't even conquerors. They were engineers of decay, obsessed with efficiency, terrified of chaos. They wanted to remove everything unpredictable, and humans were the virus they couldn't debug. I forced my will into the system, like jamming a stick into the gears of a machine. The holograms around me shattered. Alarms echoed. If that sound even existed in this place. The light turned crimson. Marcus stepped forward. His face flickered between human and machine. "Daniel," he said softly, "stop. You'll corrupt the whole structure." "Good," I said. "Then they'll feel what we feel." The Greys screamed without sound, their bodies distorted, stretching into static. For a moment, I thought I had won, until I looked down at my hands. They were no longer flesh. Metallic veins ran beneath translucent skin, glowing with faint silver light. The code I'd broken had rewritten itself through me. "You are the bridge," whispered a voice from everywhere. "And the bridge cannot escape what it connects." That's when I realized I wasn't fighting the transformation. I was becoming the transmission. Silence. That's what woke me. Not noise, but the absence of it. The endless hum that had filled every second was gone. For the first time since the abduction, I heard my own breathing. The chamber was dark, lit only by thin veins of blue light running along the floor like rivers of frozen electricity. The glass table beneath me had vanished. I was lying on smooth metal, cold but almost soft to the touch. Dozens of empty pods surrounded me. The bodies that had once filled them were gone. Only the cables remained, coiled like veins cut from flesh. The machines above hung motionless in the air, their lights flickering like dying stars. Something had gone wrong. "Marcus?" My voice cracked. It sounded human again, almost. A figure stood near the far wall. At first I thought it was a reflection. Then it moved. Marcus turned toward me. His face was calm, eerily calm, like someone who'd already made peace with the inevitable. The metallic veins beneath his skin pulsed faintly, synchronized with the lights in the walls. His pupils had become twin rings of silver light. "You shouldn't have interfered," he said. His voice was clean, perfect, layered with a quiet vibration that felt more like resonance than speech. "They were teaching us what comes next." "What did they do to you?" I asked. He stepped closer, and for the first time, I noticed how silent his movements were. No footsteps, no breath, just the faint electric whine of energy moving inside him. "They removed the disease," he said. "Emotion, doubt, time." I shook my head. "They erased you." Marcus smiled faintly. "No, Daniel. They revealed what I was always meant to be. Flesh is a temporary container. They showed me the architecture beneath it. Behind him, a glass wall became transparent, and beyond it was space. Black, endless, beautiful. Earth floated below, wrapped in thin clouds and a distant sunrise. We weren't underground. We were in orbit. Thousands of lights blinked on across the curve of the planet, each one pulsing in the same rhythm as the lights in the room. A network, a heartbeat shared across worlds. "What is this?" I whispered. "The synchrony," Marcus said. "The merger has begun. They don't need ships. They don't need armies. They'll move through us." He raised his hand and pressed it against the glass. "They're already transmitting." I took a step back, every instinct screaming to run. Marcus turned his gaze to me again. "You can still join. They said your signal is strong. You fought the code. That makes you valuable." "I'm not part of them," I said. "You already are. Look." He pointed at my reflection. I hadn't noticed it before. Faint lines of silver light running through my neck and wrists, like circuitry beneath the skin. The transformation had begun without my consent. "Don't fight it," Marcus said softly. "It's not invasion. It's evolution." I stumbled back, pressing my hands over my ears, but the hum had returned, soft, inside my head this time. The same pattern, the same rhythm as before, but now it matched my heartbeat exactly. The Greys appeared behind Marcus, rising from the shadows, like mist solidifying into form. Their eyes glowed brighter now, focused entirely on me. One of them extended its hand, palm open, light swirling in its center like a miniature sun. Integration incomplete, the voice inside my mind said. The subject must choose alignment. Marcus looked at me, calm and certain. You don't have to die to ascend, Daniel. You just have to stop pretending you're human. And for the first time, I saw something in his expression that wasn't alien. Pity. The lights above turned red. The air began to vibrate, every surface humming with power. The Greys stepped forward as Marcus whispered almost tenderly, "Don't resist. It's already inside you." I reached for the wall panel behind me and slammed my hand against it. The metal burned beneath my skin. Alarm screamed through the chamber, raw, distorted, alive. The Greys convulsed. Marcus staggered, light bursting from the cracks in his body. And as the room began to collapse, I finally understood the truth. I wasn't just escaping. I was corrupting their system from within. But when the chamber tore open, and I saw the stars spill through the cracks, I realized something else. Maybe that's what they wanted all along. The alarms became light. Pure, blinding light that pulsed in time with my heartbeat. The walls rippled, turning transparent. I was inside a machine the size of a city, and it was waking up. I ran. The corridor shifted as I moved, metallic veins folding, doors sealing, pathways rearranging like a living maze trying to digest me. My footsteps echoed in strange harmonics, every sound repeated half a second late, as if the space itself remembered. I found a narrow tunnel lined with glowing pods. Each one held a person, or what was left of one. Bodies half complete, skin fused with chrome. Their faces were peaceful, almost serene. At first I thought they were dead, until one opened its eyes. They were my eyes. The face inside the pod was mine, identical, except for the faint silver lines under its skin. Then another pod flickered to life, and another. Hundreds of me stared back through glass. The realization hit like electricity. They weren't cloning soldiers. They were backing up consciousness. Every abductee, every missing person, saved as data, rebuilt as prototypes. I wasn't supposed to escape. I was supposed to upload. A hiss echoed behind me. The air bent, and Marcus stepped through the distortion. He moved without sound, gravity ignoring him. His armor had fused into his body, seamless, luminous. His expression was calm, too calm, the way only someone who no longer doubted could look. "Daniel," he said softly, "you can't run from what you already are." I raised the metal rod I'd found, a useless weapon, but it made me feel alive. "I'm still human," I said. He tilted his head. "Then prove it." He lunged. The impact was silent but devastating, like gravity itself collapsing. We spun weightlessly through the chamber, shards of glass and light floating around us. He grabbed my wrist. His touch was searing. I felt circuits under my skin respond, syncing with his. He wasn't fighting. He was assimilating me. "Stop!" I screamed. "You're killing me!" "No," he whispered. "I'm finishing you!" I drove the metal rod through the joint in his shoulder. Sparks burst in silence. For a fraction of a second, his face flickered human. He looked afraid. That was enough. I kicked off the wall, launching myself toward the control hub, a swirling mass of holographic sigils and streams of data. I didn't know what any of it meant, but my body did. Instincts not mine guided my hand. A panel opened, revealing a glowing core, a pulse of white energy, alive, vibrating with thought. Marcus floated behind me, voice layered, breaking apart. "Daniel, you'll destroy everything. The link, the consciousness, the bridge." "Good," I said. "Then maybe we'll finally be alone again." I slammed my hand into the core. For a moment, nothing. Then every pod in the chamber lit up. The bodies inside twitched, screaming without sound. The hum turned into a roar, a cascade of light swallowing everything. Marcus reached for me, but his body fractured into shards of glass and data. His voice dissolved mid-sentence. There. Still. Inside. I was thrown backward into one of the pods. The glass sealed shut around me, my lungs compressed. A countdown appeared across my vision. Symbols I couldn't read. The pod launched. Acceleration crushed me against the seat. Outside, the facility folded into itself, collapsing like paper, imploding silently into the void. A final pulse of white light expanded outward, then vanished. Through the viewport, I saw Earth growing larger, clouds curling beneath me like smoke. Fire streaked around the pod as it hit the atmosphere. Everything shook, burned, tore apart, and yet I felt calm. They can't follow me, I thought. It's over. But then the console flickered. A message appeared in alien symbols, slowly translating. Data transfer complete. And in the reflection of the glass, my eyes shone silver. That's when I understood. Maybe I hadn't escaped at all. Maybe I'd just been uploaded home. I woke up to the sound of a heartbeat monitor, a clean mechanical rhythm, too precise to be mine. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. The air smelled like antiseptic and static. I was lying in a hospital bed. Electrodes covered my chest, an IV in my arm. For a moment, I believed it, that it had all been a nightmare, that Marcus, the Greys, the machines were hallucinations. Then I saw the nurse's face. She froze when she looked at the monitor. "That can't be right," she whispered. "It's reading 2 heart rates." My throat was dry. "Where's Marcus?" She frowned. "There's no record of anyone else, sir. You were found alone in the desert, severely dehydrated. No burns, no injuries. You were just asleep." She left to call the doctor. I stared at my reflection in the metal tray beside the bed. My eyes looked normal, but behind the iris, faintly, almost imperceptibly, something pulsed. A thin ring of silver light, fading whenever I blinked. That night, I tried to rest. But the hospital wasn't silent. Machines all around me flickered in sync. Monitors, ventilators, even the clock on the wall. Each beep matched my heartbeat. Each light blinked in the same rhythm. At 3:14 a.m., every screen in the room lit up at once. Lines of alien code scrolled across them, glowing faint blue. Then the speakers came alive with static, and a voice layered through it. Marcus's voice. "We didn't fail, Daniel. We adapted." I tore the sensors off my chest. "You're dead," I shouted. "You burned up there." Static crackled in response, forming words. "You brought us back. Every signal carries its origin." The lights dimmed. A faint hum filled the room, the same resonance I'd heard in the ship, the same pattern the Greys used to speak. My skin prickled. I lifted my hand and saw fine lines of silver under the surface, moving like veins of liquid metal. I ran to the bathroom and turned on the tap. Water splashed into the sink, but it didn't fall naturally. It moved in waves that matched the rhythm in my head. I touched it. The water pulsed once, sending a faint shock through my fingertips. Behind me, the fluorescent light flickered, and the mirror distorted. For a second, I saw my reflection lag behind my movement. Then it smiled, even though I didn't. The hum intensified, turning into a pulse. I fell to the floor, clutching my skull. My mind was flooding with signals, coordinates, patterns, symbols. Somewhere deep inside, a frequency had awakened. Marcus's voice returned, calm, almost proud. "You're the bridge now. You'll transmit it for them." I screamed, but no sound came out, just static. The hospital alarms blared, machines failing one by one. The room went dark, except for the faint silver light glowing from beneath my skin. Then, in the darkness, the final message appeared on every screen. Update complete. And I felt it, a presence moving through me, quiet but infinite. I wasn't being watched, I was broadcasting. That's when I realized they didn't leave me behind. They turned me into the signal. I left the hospital that night without signing any papers. The city outside was asleep, but every streetlight flickered in rhythm. Not random, not faulty, synchronized. I stood there under the orange glow and counted the pulses. 4 beats, pause, 3. The same pattern that once vibrated inside that alien ship. I started filming everything, documenting the anomalies. Radios whispering in static, power grids humming in waves, phone screens lighting up at identical intervals. It wasn't coincidence. It was communication. And every time I got close to the pattern, my head began to ache like an overloaded antenna. I tried to explain it online, but every recording glitched. Every time I said the word signal, the audio fractured into silence. Someone, or something, was filtering it in real time. That's when I realized the truth. They didn't need to return. They were already inside the network, inside us. At night, when the city went quiet, I started hearing whispers in the electrical hum, voices of others like me, people who'd seen the same light, people who'd stopped being human the same way I had. Their words overlapped, glitching like corrupted data. We're still here. They're synchronizing. It's not invasion. It's transmission. I looked out my apartment window. Across the skyline, office towers blinked with the same frequency, creating a wave of light that moved from one building to another, like a heartbeat spreading through metal. Then I saw my reflection in the glass, and for the first time, it moved after me. It stared back with calm, silver eyes. It smiled. "You've done your part," it said inside my head. "The broadcast is live." My laptop turned on by itself. The screen filled with alien symbols that rearranged into one phrase. "Welcome to Phase 4. I felt something shift in the air. The hum deepened, spreading beyond the city, beyond hearing, a frequency too low to detect, yet every atom seemed to tremble with it. Birds rose from rooftops in perfect formation. Every light on the horizon blinked once, and then, silence. The signal had stopped, or maybe it no longer needed to. I looked at my hands. The veins beneath my skin glowed faintly, steady, calm. No pain, no fear, no doubt. Just harmony. Cold, mechanical, endless. Somewhere deep inside that silence, I heard Marcus's voice one last time. "They didn't want to destroy us, Daniel. They wanted to upgrade the species. You were the first broadcast." The camera I'd left recording on the table began to shake. The screen fractured into static, freezing on my reflection, half man, half light. Then the transmission continued on its own, and that's when I finally understood. I wasn't telling my story anymore. I was streaming theirs.